field 10 years ago, this was too big for me.
And I wasn't even born yet.
Things have changed a lot since then, don't you think?
We never lost our love for missions, but as a lot of you know, I got a bunch of weird health problems, Addison's disease and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and all kinds of things that basically took us home from the mission field and kept us home from the mission field because the medicine that keeps me alive doesn't exist in a lot of countries, and if I get sick, it gets dangerous real quick, etc., etc. We asked one of my doctors back in the beginning if he thought it'd be possible for us to go back overseas, and he said no. He was surprised I hadn't kicked off already. So that was kind of clear. But we've been praying for several years now that God would provide a way, especially for Brian to be back in full-time ministry, but couldn't figure out how in the world God could possibly do that with all of our limitations, especially with regards to missions. If we can't live overseas, and we can't travel a lot doing deputation, and most of you know that, I mean, I do work, I write, but it's oftentimes at 2 in the morning in my pajamas on the couch. I can't have a job outside the home because my body is not dependable. So what in the world could the Lord do? Well, as you know, we've been praying about it. But, you know, you kind of wait and you don't know what to tell the Lord, and you try to think of something to tell the Lord, and it's like, you know what, I don't need to figure it out. So we've just been waiting. And a lot of the doors that we've tried have closed, and we weren't even thinking of that a few weeks ago when we decided to go on a little mini missions trip to Source of Light International. The main reason we wanted to go was for the kids to see this ministry that we've been involved in for several years, and I particularly wanted them to see the big, big rolls of paper.
And the big rolls of paper are probably about this big, and they go in the printing press and print 18,000 lessons per roll and go out to different places around the world.
We also got to tour Source of Light. One of the many things we got to do was work in the Braille ministry. There was even a blind guy who worked in the ministry, and it was pretty cool. Mom and Dad were supposed to join and help us out too, but they were called in by the director of Source of Light, so we had to say bye.
Bye.
So the director, come to find out, we had friends that are down there. There's a man named Jim Tilson who was in ministry with my grandpa, who was a pastor for 26 years. So I've known him all my life, and he's the director of the Braille ministry. That's him in the picture. But I hadn't thought about the fact that we were actually connected with the director as well. He came from our old mission board and had known us for years, and apparently he's been keeping up on Facebook and knew about my health problems, and he had a high regard for Brian because he's well acquainted with our old missions boss. And so he said we've been on his radar for years, he just hadn't made it up to come find us yet, and then here we walked in the door. So he wanted to talk to us, and I'm thinking, well, you know, he's going to say there's all these opportunities, do you feel like being missionaries again? But we just couldn't. We can't. I mean, we've thought about it, and we can't travel and do deputation, and, you know, my limitations. You expect a lot from missionaries, you know, all these reasons that I had in my head, ching, 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 ching. And I'm sitting here just waiting for him to say enough for Brian to be able to say, I'm sorry, we can't do that. So we're sitting here listening to him, and we talked and talked and talked. And then he said, why don't you come over to the house and talk some more? So we were going to come home, and we thought, well, you know. So we went over to their house, and we're sitting there, and he talked and talked some more. And he was asking Brian about his math stuff and all these other different things, and then he starts saying this opportunity, and I'm thinking, no, we can't do that. And then he said, oh, well, I guess we can't do that one. And then, well, what about this one? Oh, and then he mentions that one. I'm not saying a word here. He's just, you know, listing off all these things that, wow. And he even looked at me and said, we know about your health problems, and we would, you know, adjust accordingly. We wouldn't expect really anything from me, but that means that I could serve as I could and not have to be expected to do a 40-hour work week at the office. Source of Light Ministries, which Brian will tell you in a while, it's all about printing lessons and paper just all over the world. It's writing. It's like walking through there was a dream. You know, it's like this would be the perfect job. I can serve and minister on my computer in the middle of the night in my pajamas, and it's like impossible. The more he kept saying it, the more it was like God created this little tiny position that was just exactly perfect for our limitations, for who Brian is and how he's qualified, which I'll let him tell you about the other side of it. But he just went through it all and went through it all, and I came home and I wrote 2 pages of all the things that were specific that worked, even including where it is, because we can't live too far north because of my asthma, we can't live too far south because of my health problems. I'm just like right there. It's not that far, and we thought about, well, what about leaving everybody? And it'll be so hard to leave, and we love you guys, and my family lives here, and, you know, and it was like, wait, we were willing to go to Indonesia and only see everybody once every 4 years. So 4.5 hours really isn't that far away. And in the end, it came down to, what does God want us to do? And so it was a very, very interesting few weeks as we went back and forth and we prayed and we asked counsel and we tried to figure out what in the world, is this really something God wants us to do? And now here we are, and we're moving 3 weeks from tomorrow. And it's just unreal. It's just out of nowhere, kind of like you pray and you pray and you wait, and then all of a sudden God says, okay. And so here we are. And Brian's going to show a little video about Source of Light to tell you a little more about it, and then he's going to tell you more about what he's going to be doing. And we're excited and we're nervous, and we're so glad that you're with us on this. And you've been so supportive and wonderful and encouraging. And I'll stop.
Covers, they look so old. Well, it's one of the things that we can do to try to continue to improve the ministry to make it more effective.